with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. We'll move to learning highlights, communication update. Mark, please.
Great. Thank you very much, Jim. And thank you again for your service. We really appreciate everything. So,
Thank you.
as we move forward, you know, there's been a lot. Obviously, we had the workshop meeting, so there's been a lot of things that have happened over the last month, but we'll hit on just a couple of them here to let everyone see. At Weber Elementary, they did the Wax Museum, and they had all of the students lined up. They did it in the evening, so they spent days preparing and spending all their time with their different costumes, and and as you know, the Wax Museums, they all represented a real-life character, real-life individual, so someone of historical import, so they researched them, and then they do the costume, and they did it at night, so the parents were able to come too, which was really nice. And obviously, the last couple of years, that's been a challenge, so they were able to do that at night, so that was well done at Weber. This was in Paint Creek. You know, a lot of our schools have adopted the Positivity Project, and the ways that the flexibility that it gives them to manifest this throughout their schools and through the students really at all different levels really makes it unique because they can find things that identify with the kids. Now Karen Morrow is a kindergarten teacher at Paint Creek, so what they did is they had little notes that, I mean, they're not writing, so they gave them notes that had sayings on them, and they went around the school and put them on the lockers of the older kids, and so they could share, you know, the messages, and that was their way to be able to, you know, share those messages. So that was nice. This is this week. You know, Julia Dalrymple, her classroom is right off the Commons there, so all of the different marketing things that they're doing a lot of times are seen by the whole school. But this is one they were talking about. They were taking brand products from the grocery store and comparing generic versus brand names and the differences, and they did some taste tests and stuff. So I noticed some administrators sneaking out there for those taste tests. But, the principal for a day was this week from Stadium Drive.
Looks like she's president.
Ms. Lee came by, and she spoke with with everyone, you know, cabinet. She was in there with them for a while. Ben grilled her for a while on some hot topics and everything. She had an ID, you can see in the middle there, and she came in here afterwards on the way out, and Gretchen Hines, the principal, she said, "Can I see what's in here?" We turned on the lights, and she gravitated right up there, right to the gavel, and she said, she just started banging the gavel. So, you know, it seems like she has a leadership future, maybe.
So what do you think the first question this principal had of me as a superintendent?
How much you get paid?
No,
Snow days.
snow days.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much snow do we
Money and
have
snow
to
days.
have a snow day? Yeah.
How did she win that?
She was the leading fundraiser at the Stadium Drive Fund.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's second grader.
They had brought it, you know, with the increase in field trips, the schools are able to bring in outside groups. We've talked about that earlier this year. They brought in a science group at Carpenter Elementary. This was last week or 2 weeks ago, and the students were just amazed when, you know, she alternated between calling it magic and calling it science, like, because she was trying to show them, you know, these are things that are based. They had to sit down when she was using the fire, but other than that, she was able to make them interactive and everything. So they really were connecting with it. So that was a fun experience. Coding, you know, this is the month of code. There's coding through all the buildings, especially there's a lot of, in the middle school especially, there's a lot of things happening where there's interactive elements. This was at Weber Elementary, and a couple parents actually came in. Well, they had said something when they were there for curriculum night, I think it was to the Heather Fleming, who is the media specialist. You know, I'm an engineer, we have background and stuff, can we come in and do a lesson? So they sat there the whole day and had classes come through. And this is a little bit of a car, so you can see they programmed the car, and each color, you know, indicates to the car which way to turn. So the students laid out the squares, and the car followed the squares, which is kind of a really cool experience. They were really enthused about it. and seeing it work and everything. Lunar buggies, Heidi and Ben came to see this at Walden Middle School. Their goal was, so basically they were given a couple different items, and what their goal was is to create a way to have some, and they were given some pennies and stuff, and they had to roll it down the track and see who's went the farthest. But they had to build it from zero, so they needed, I don't know, Heidi and Ben can speak to it, maybe a little guidance. One of the tips that I mentioned to them is, if the wheels don't work, none of the rest of it matters. So they had to, there was some experimentation going on there, so that was nice. And this is something that Dan Hunter and Laura Boscarino have done every year that they've been able to, and it's really something that the students understand, because it's really hands-on and takes like an hour. They talk about it in the classroom before, and then they come down to the auxiliary gym and put it all together. The students get into it. At Pine Tree Center, there's been a couple, key opportunities. They had a Thanksgiving luncheon while it was at Pine Tree Center, and everyone loved it. The credit goes to Monica Kaplan and Food Service, because they made the food. They came, they served the food, and it was, you can see Monica in the top picture, and it was really well received. I know Ben and Heidi were there, and they saw them too. You see Chris Barnett came to visit as well, and there was a presentation with a check, that they had raised for money at OPA's from an event. So, and then there was also the Lions Club Christmas party was last week there as well. So Pine Tree Center was interesting. I will share more about Pine Tree Center coming up here. Oh, sorry, page down. That's right. Around Thanksgiving, there was food drive, and a lot of that, the high school really makes a strong effort to try to gather these things. And I think when it's like closer to the holiday, it gets a little harder to do in December, because everyone's coming and going, and there's a lot of minds are elsewhere. But before Thanksgiving, it's really an opportunity for people to come together. So they all went, and so they had the food drive, and this is Bill Kokonis. Some of you know him. He's from the community. He helped plan the Orion Light Parade, and they brought it, and the students in the leadership class really were committed to it, and they raised a lot of different things to offer. And people came in and got a full turkey and a pan, and people who in need, and it was really a great opportunity for them. This is today. We've talked a lot in the strategic plan about the connections with the community, and that's been a real focus of the strategic plan. We all talked about that. Today at Flagstar Bank, Julie Gutman, Special Education Director, as you know, they've done, and Randy DeRiker, who's one of the teachers of the phases, they have made these partnerships and really made an effort to try to be inclusive with the students and try to bring it, so they can create opportunities for them to go into the workforce and have jobs and stuff. So they went to Flagstar Bank, and Flagstar Bank said, this is really appealing to us, and they're going to they were there with Dutton Farm students as well, but there's an opportunity for a larger partnership. And beyond that, and I think this is something that is what Julie does, it's going to be great for our students. Our students were there, and Julie made a presentation, and the students all talked about different things that are important to them, what they do in the Phases program, and they sold some of their goods. But beyond that, Julie and Randy DeRiker, the teacher, have opened some eyes at Flagstar Bank, because Flagstar Bank said, oh, this is really interesting. We want to work with you, but we're going to look at our hiring practices and make sure that we're inclusive for people with disabilities. And that, is maybe a greater impact than just the individual opportunities for our students. So, and that's a testament, I think, Julie, and really what she's bringing awareness, and that's the kind of thing that going into the community, I think, as Ben can attest, with the strategic plan, that's part of the goal of it too, is bringing, our students into the community in all different ways to make people more aware of what's happening. And this was another thing finally today, the Veterans Memorial, they went, members of the Veterans Memorial Committee, Carpenter had done a fundraiser and raised a significant amount of money for the Veterans Memorial, actually, and so they came to make a presentation today. And it's hard to see there, but maybe you can see this brick here. So this is going to be a brick that was presented. Joanne Van Tassel presented it. It's going to be in the ground at the Veterans Memorial where people have bought those, and then Carpenter has a copy of it as well to
Nice.
Put up somewhere in Carpenter. So, and the students, this is, an extension now of the Positivity Project, the Positivity Project Council there, which is very active and very involved in doing things for the school and the students. Really has been an opportunity. This is a connection for them to the Orion Veterans Memorial, and kind of makes it a little more real for them to see all that. So in terms of communications, you know, that we're just dealing with a lot of things like leading up to the break. You know, we communicated to our staff last week about things that are happening with the staff. We're going to communicate to families, you know, before break as well. And so we're trying to just connect and stay in touch with everyone and what they need. So any questions?
Questions for Mark?
Great, thank you.
Always good news.
Lots
Thank
of
you,
good
Mark.
stuff.
Thank you.
There's some great things there.
Julie?
So we'll move on to presentation tonight, and we have the pleasure of hearing from Scripps Middle School, and Ben, please.
All right, so as you know, we're giving each school an opportunity to highlight the great things that are going on, and tonight we have our first-year principal, Dave McKay. Dave's doing a wonderful job, and we're glad to have him, but he's going to talk a little bit about community service and some of the construction that's going on in the building. So, Dave, thanks.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. As Ben said, I'm just here to highlight some of the community service projects that have gone on at the building and a little bit of construction information. So our National Junior Honor Society consists of 73 eighth grade students. Just like the high school National Honor Society, there is an academic requirement and a character requirement for all these students. And with 73 students, that's about 35% of our eighth grade students who kind of met those requirements, filled out the application, went through that whole process of being a part of our National Junior Honor Society. So I'm really proud of that large group in the building. And with that, at this point in the year, they've completed over 1,000 hours of community service, not only in our building, but throughout the whole community. So it's another big number for this group of students. They just recently did a fundraiser and collected in the area out of $300 to $400 for the angelfish program through Orion Oxford Fish. And so with that money, a group of them went shopping with the advisors and got to go Christmas shopping for some students not students, but for some kids in the community in need, and then got to wrap those gifts, and then they give them to angelfish, and so that'll be some things that will make some kids' holiday a lot brighter and cheerier. So it's a lot of fun for those kids to kind of be on the other side of the holiday season, where they get to go purchase gifts, wrap them, and know that they're doing some great things for some kids in the area. Earlier in the year, this is a really great experience, again, for some of these students who volunteered. On a Saturday in September, we had about 13 to 15 students who volunteered at ViewFest in Walled Lake. And so ViewFest is a festival-type experience promoting and presenting different mental health areas. And so it's kind of a different twist on how to present things about mental health and awareness and just different types of things. So our particular group ran a paint station at ViewFest, and they also were able to participate in the other activities. So it's just a little different spin and bringing awareness to mental health. And this is the second year that we've had students volunteer at ViewFest. Last year was just a handful, and this year we were able to kind of grow that a little bit more. So we're looking over the coming years to really grow the number of our students who are participating in this in Walled Lake. Another one of our groups at Scripps is our student council. And so our student council, they, just like the high school leadership group, they run a lot of our student activities and student events. Just recently, right before Thanksgiving, we had our first pep assembly in a few years, so that was great. Kind of be able to get all the kids together, and we brought the high school marching band in, and so they run all of that. They are the ones who organize it, they're the ones who set the timeline, they're the ones who do all the speaking at the event, so they run a lot of those day-to-day and week-to-week type fun activities in the building, but they also organized a can drive at our building, able to raise close to $1,000 and over 1,500 non-perishable canned goods that we, again, donated to the Orion Oxford Fish. And with that, We also have our a hat and mitten tree, so right now they're promoting and just finishing up this promotion there. So they've been reaching out to kids in the building and to the school community to get hats and mittens, scarves, and other items to help make the winter a little bit warmer for students, and all of those items are going to be donated to the Lions Club. So that will be finishing up here in the next several days, and we'll get that all over to the Lions Club. And then the last piece, which is really turned into a kind of a fun, interesting piece at lunch, both our student council group and our National Honor Society group kind of teamed up, and they're running an icebreaker table during lunches. And so a couple times a week, we have a table set up with all sorts of games and activities, and members from both student council and National Honor Society sit at the table, organize these activities. And the whole goal here is for students who are new to the building, or students who are looking to expand their connections in the building and meet new friends. It's just kind of like a set place that they can go and be a part of these different activities, and really start to make new connections and friends within the building. So something that's kind of a collaboration between the two, and over the last several weeks that's really gotten going. It's a lot of fun to walk by and lunch, and they're having a lot of fun and that type of thing. The last thing group that I really wanted to highlight, and we're really just getting us going, is our peer-to-peer group. So Scripps houses our ASD program, our autistic program for the middle schools. And several years ago, before COVID, we had just started getting this group going, and then things kind of took a few steps back. And this year, I really want to give a lot of credit to Derek Mazer, our social worker, and Heather Schott, who is our ASD teacher, as they haven't given up on this dream of theirs. And so this year, we have 48 students who signed up to be a part of peer-to-peer. And over the last several weeks, they've been meeting with Mr. Mazer and Mrs. Schott just to learn more about autism and how to work with students with autism, and what kind of needs and connections they can make with them throughout the rest of the school year. And this Friday is going to be the first day where the activities are planned, so we're going to bring both groups together. So we're going to have our autistic students in our peer-to-peer group. They're going to do a bunch of activities and some icebreaker activities, and then throughout the rest of this school year, we're going to kind of continue to build that connection between peer-to-peer students and our autistic students. And what I'm really excited about, this is all 3 grades. So we have 6th graders through 8th graders, and over the next several years, our 6th graders are really going to start to build some really strong bonds with these students. And so I'm excited to see kind of in the coming years how we can continue to grow this program and really kind of build some more connections outside of just maybe our STAR time with them, but also in classrooms, STAR classrooms throughout the day. So just a few things that we've been doing at Scripps kind of for the community and for others. The next piece, for anybody who's driven by Scripps in the last 7 months, they've seen and or lived traffic and construction, and it's really coming along well. We drive by now, and you can see a couple pictures here of our new main office with secure entry and that type of thing. Looks good from the outside. They actually got the pavement in last week. They poured the concrete on Tuesday, so that part's all ready to go. I met with our foreman and a gentleman from Rewald today to talk about traffic flow and traffic patterns, because we're looking to get that opened up here pretty soon. And it's really coming along nicely. All the interior stuff that was done over the summer, it looks great and is really spruced the building up, and we're really thankful for the community support on that. And, this kind of like that final piece that everybody sees when they drive by, and we're getting close. And this is just a couple quick pictures from the interior, just to give you an idea of where we're at right now. The picture with that orange lift in it will be that main office entry area. So, and this picture really doesn't do it justice, because it's a very large, bright, airy, kind of, even without all the furnishing, is still a very welcoming space. And so I'm excited about that, because this is going to be that first touch point for any visitor or any family who's coming into the building. I mean, this is where they're going to be coming in after they enter the building, and it's just going to be a really nice, bright, inviting space. The other nice advantage of it, we're going to have all of our office people in the same place. If you've been to Scripps, we're kind of on layered levels, and our 2 secretaries are both kind of on an island, and so they're going to be together here. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And the other picture is just kind of a back hallway, but it's really more for you to see where we're at in the construction process. Drywall is up. They're still working on some of the ductwork and piping and that type of thing, but it is nice to be able to walk through now from August when you walk by and it's just dirt and concrete slab, and now we have walls, and you can kind of start to get a real feel of how this office space is going to work for us in the future. So it's really exciting to have this last piece starting to finish up, and just really thankful for the bond support and the community support to get this done.
Dave, what's the timeline of being able to move in, or Heidi? I'm not gonna hold you to it, I just.
Right, ish, just say ish.
Yeah, we just found out today, well, I should say last week, we were given a slight heads up. And it was no surprise that we're a little bit behind. We were expecting the beginning of January. It's now the end of January, but the outside, the front entrance, will be January 4th. So as Dave was saying, the traffic pattern and the front entrance will be ready as of January 4th, but actually moving the office will not occur until the very end of January.
The big thing that you've done such a good job is it doesn't disrupt the daily operation of the school. That the construction is happening there, but the school functions as is.
Yeah,
So that's been a really good aspect of our project planning, is we haven't had to say, oh, when we're doing this, everybody stays home for 3 weeks. All of our plans were laid out to have minimal disruption to staff and students, and appreciate the fact that you're in there, managing that in the space that you do have.
And I will say, our foreman for this project, Nick from Rewald, has been great. He kind of sees things in advance, and he, we text each other pretty regularly if he's got something big going, or if he wants to get something done during the day, he'll always run it by me first, and we'll kind of be able to collaborate and discuss and say, maybe that's not going to have to wait till off hours or that type of thing. So they've been more than flexible with us, and we've tried to reciprocate as much as we can to give them some flexibility as the year went. So it's been really good. And then lastly, I can't stand here without thanking Mr. Weedman for his service here in Lake Orion. I grew up in the same neighborhood as Mr. Weedman. I'm pretty sure he's reffed my high school basketball games when I was a student at Lake Orion.
Your dad and I played basketball together.
Yeah, I called my dad on the way here just to let him know, I'm doing a board presentation, and I wanted to say a few words about Mr. Weedman, and that was his thing. He's like, I played basketball with him. And, he is really appreciative of all of your service. And over the years that you've been there, it's so nice to have calm, consistent leadership on the school board. And you've done that for us here in Lake Orion, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation. Great things happening at Scripps. All right, so we'll move ahead. We have no public participation this evening for action items, so we'll move to strategic area discussion items and governance. And Ben, please.
All right, thank you. I am happy to report that lame duck was indeed lame, and there wasn't a lot that went on. And I say that as there's been a number of things that have happened to schools during lame duck sessions in the past, so we're fortunate. There are a few things that came through. Next month, I'll be attending the MASA Midwinter Conference. And we'll get a better understanding at that point. It's in the middle of the month. We'll get a little bit of understanding as to what some priorities and what the quick action items are going to be and those types of things. A few things that did get through, and then on the governor's desk is House Bill 5777, and that's requires the Michigan Department of Ed to create a resource for children that are deaf or hard of hearing. So I do anticipate that would get signed. Another is House Bill 4733, and that actually impacts some changes to the retirement system that provides access to more fixed annuity options for employees. So we'll see how that impacts as it's actually implemented. But that is also going to be, or is on her desk. And then House Bill 6042 requires local law enforcement and school boards to work together to create critical incident mapping. That's something that we actually have been doing. I think we started the project actually last year, but we're in a good spot with that. Unfortunately, not all districts across the state are in the same spot, so they have put it into, law legislation to make that occur. We do have grant funding that's assisted with our work that we're doing with our critical incident mapping. But those are the items. Again, those are all expected to be signed. Not really any kind of a negative impact on schools at all, so we're real thankful about that. So, any questions on those items? Okay. Next, we have International Academy. I think I'm going in the correct order here. But the International Academy, there's a letter of understanding there. In your packets is the total tentative agreement that was created with the staff. You may or may not know, but we have a couple teachers that actually work there, and so then the collective bargaining agreement that is put into place impacts those teachers, impacts us as a district. Overall, what they're asking through that tentative agreement is for us to contribute an additional $900, and it looks like that'll be for the next few years, next 3 years, with no increases, and that will help support a change in the stipend amounts that those teachers will be getting. There was some other language in there that helped with the overall staff asks at the International Academy. So again, $900 is the impact for the district on an annual basis. So there will be a resolution to support that later. Any questions about that? Okay, and then the last item under my area that I have, and we've talked about this in some of our informal meetings, but there's the board officer questionnaire that's actually in your packets, page 39, and also Julie emailed it out electronically this afternoon. So however you choose to submit that, please submit that by the end of this month so that that is in place for consideration.
Questions for Ben? You good? Good. All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the board self-assessment committee report. And Birgit, please.
Yes, thank you. The Board Self-Assessment Committee met on Friday, November 18th. And at that time, we reviewed the September 14th workshop feedback that we had received, and with a intent to find a way to incorporate that into the board operating procedures, which was not difficult to do. And we also, Danielle and I ended up reviewing a good deal of just the board operating procedures and talking about things that we may have noticed that we would like to present to the board for consideration for addition at that time when we do that as well. We also discussed future professional development sessions for the workshop that would be in February, as one of our goals is to increase professional development and bring in MASB workshops to our workshops. So that concludes that report.
All right, questions for Birgit?
Or Danielle?
Or Danielle? Team Board Self-Assessment
Right.
Committee. There you go. All right, thank you, Birgit.
Thank you.
Move ahead to student achievement, and Heidi, please.
All right, the past few weeks have been busy with visitors from other districts. We've had Rochester, Holly, and Monroe visit us recently. The teams that have visited have included teachers, administrators, and instructional coaches. They visited a variety of ELA and math classrooms, and just taking in what we do in each of our classrooms along with our instructional coach model. And then last week we had the honor of having Mary Enworth, who is from New York, part of Teachers College. She was at Carpenter, and we had other districts joining us as well, talking to us about our units of study for literacy and going into 3 of our teachers' classrooms and providing professional development that way. So this was a pretty large event, and we were very excited that Mary was able to actually come to Carpenter. And she has some further work that she wants Lake Orion to be part of. So we're looking forward to that, and Kate DeMio was huge in making this happen. So this was a very exciting event. And then also, I've included at your places this evening, LOEF is doing a fundraiser for Detroit Red Wings versus Colorado Avalanche. So take a look at that, and we encourage you to maybe get some holiday shopping done. And then we're also preparing for our Martin Luther King Day. You know, that day we have professional development for staff that provides a variety of activities. And then in the evening, we'll be having a family event, which I've provided some information, 6:30 to 8 in the LOHS auditorium. So we're very excited about that. DEI coordinators, along with Beth DeFranco from the high school, have really been working hard on this event. And this is an all district event that, you know, students and teachers will be participating in. So I encourage you to put that on your calendars. And then bond, as we had alluded to, Scripps, you know, will be done at the end of January, so we are looking forward to that. And then we have the high school sign. That will be coming to you for approval in March. So we are working on that and hoping that the actual work for the high school sign will be done in the summer and be ready by the time school starts. And then Blanche Sims, they're continuing to work in the last meeting, working on getting everything enclosed, which that has happened. This Blanche Sims staff will take a tour next Tuesday. So they're very excited about that. And I believe that is it right now for bond.
Is Blanche Sims, is the roof done and it's all closed in now, or so it's weatherproof? Awesome.
Other questions for Heidi? I do have a question about the districts visiting. Is it primarily for the coaching that they're visiting, that they want to see taking place?
A lot of it is for the coaching, along with, we've had a lot visit for math, the discourse that we do inside the classroom, and our ELA is mainly for our readers and writers workshop as well.
So it's really a variety of.
It's a variety of things. So when they come, they're looking at multiple things.
That's great.
But our coaching model has kind of caught on throughout the county, and so that has
Right.
been
That's
something
why
that.
That's why I asked. Well, it's a compliment to you.
Oh,
Thank
so,
you.
Thank you.
All right, so move ahead to curriculum committee report, and
Danielle.
Danielle.
The curriculum committee actually met a bit ago, the November 16th. We just haven't had the opportunity to report out on it. We spent actually quite a bit of time talking about DK and kindergarten and the types of screenings that go on, what happens to appropriately place the children in between DK in kindergarten. And Heidi informed us that they're moving up the school of choice enrollment, so they have a better opportunity to screen whether the kids should be in DK or kindergarten, which will benefit everybody, and just all the interventions that are going into kindergarten and DK at this point. So lots of stuff happening in DK and kindergarten right now. We spent quite a bit of time on that. Heidi also introduced us to a program, it's called 1-2-3 Magic. It's going to be something they're going to use in parent universities to conduct a book study for parents regarding truly how to parent and just give increased support to parents. Obviously being a parent is very, very difficult, so giving increased support to them. And then we had some DEI updates. DEI coordinators have planned a PD day for each level. And what they did was learn about the building's demographics so they could better plan activities based on that information, which is really cool, and just to have each of the buildings be able to have their own activities based on the need and the interest there. And then Heidi has been at many MDE trainings, focusing on student needs and search and seizure and due process and discipline. So the bulk of it, Heidi's been very busy, is what we took away, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Danielle? Okay, that's a lot of ground you're
I know.
covering. All right, thank you very much. So move ahead to Lamp of Learning Committee report. Scott, are you handling that?
I am. The Lamp of Learning Committee met tonight, and we went over the board operating procedure where it pertains to the Lamp of Learning. We literally changed one word. And we also talked about, I don't know if you guys remember, but pre-COVID, we had talked a lot about doing some sort of event that could stand alone as the Lamp of Learning fundraiser. And we just kind of talked about that a little bit, especially after enjoying our time at 313 Pizza a couple weeks ago. We thought something like that might be cool. So we were just kind of going through that and kind of rehashing that, thinking maybe shooting for a May date. So stay tuned on that.
Good.
Yes?
Questions for Scott? That sounds like a great plan. I'll be there.
You can wear your jersey.
All right, we're going to move to Human Resources, and Rick, please.
Yes, we have one certified new hire to present to you tonight for approval. Social worker at Pine Tree Center, Arden Kachow, and that last name, if you look at how it's spelled, it's I've got it down, it's Kachow.
It's a lot of vowels.
It's very interesting, yes.
got
But she
that,
comes to us having some years of experience in the medical arena of social work, mostly at Meridian Health, but she did some shadowing at Pine Tree and fell in love and decided she wanted to come join the team.
Awesome.
That's great. Okay. Anything else, Rick?
That's it for
All
tonight.
right, thank you. So we'll move ahead to the Superintendent Evaluation Committee report, and I think you all received a copy of that this evening. And I will share it for the record. This is a summary of the evaluation of Superintendent Ben Kirby. Lake Orion Board of Education has conducted the annual review of the superintendent of schools. The thorough review process was conducted during multiple work sessions by the board, and results have been shared with our superintendent. The 2022 year-end review will serve a twofold purpose. First, as an annual review, we will conclude the 18-month review period. Secondly, as a mid-year update, we transition our review period from the school calendar to a January to December evaluation period moving forward. The new annual evaluation calendar will now begin in January of 2023. I'm pleased to report that we have a superintendent that has demonstrated much success in leading the Lake Orion Community Schools again in 2022. In all measured evaluation categories, Ben achieved highly effective ratings. The board has given Ben an overall highly effective rating for the 2022 evaluation period. The board thanks Ben for all his good work over the last year and looks forward to the coming year with anticipation of continued success under his leadership as we continue implementation of the strategic plan for Lake Orion Community Schools. That's dated today, December 14th, 2022.
Amen.
That's for the record. So we'll move ahead to finance, and John, please.
Good evening. In your board packet is a bid award up for approval. It's the renovated work associated with Walden and Oakview and Pine Trees secured entry work. In your board packets on page 47 is the contract recommendation summary for the subcontractors. The base contracts total $1,559,133. If you'd like, I can go through each line, or if you have specific questions of the contracts, I'd be happy to address them. If not, there's additional funding associated with allowances and contingencies totaling, I just had that page number, $405,713. So for a grand total contract or bid award recommendation totaling $1,964,846. Any questions?
Questions for John? Okay, we're good.
Good to go. Also in the board packet is the October finance report. It's a little bit dated. We had to change things, timelines around associated with the, some of the shifting priorities on November board meetings. So when we start back up in January, we'll be covering November, December timeframe and get back on schedule. So the October, at the time of the October, our revenue recognized as of end of October was $17,622,219. Expenditures we recognized were $20,566,851. Our cash position as of the end of October was $9.1 million with a continued forecast of $8.4 million by year end. Any questions on that report?
No variances of any significance pretty early.
Yep.
Yep.
All set, thank you.
All right, thank you, John. So, is this possible? We're moving ahead to action items? I gotta hold on to the desk here. I'm feeling woozy.
Are you going for a record tonight, there, Jim? Right?
All right, so we're going to,
Last meeting to make this happen?
It isn't the record breaker, but it's good.
it's not quite the record. All right, so we'll move ahead. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I move to approve the following consent agenda items. Approve payment of the November bills in the amount of $7,658,149.01. Approve minutes from the November 9th regular, the November 9th special and closed session, the November 30th work session, the November 7th Finance Committee, the November 16th Curriculum Committee, the November 18th Board Self-Assessment Committee, and the November 30th Superintendent Evaluation Committee meetings. Also approving out-of-state and overnight field trip requests for the LOHS leadership to Grand Rapids, Michigan from February 25th through 27th of 2023. The LOHS dance team to Orlando, Florida from February 9th through the 14th of 2023. The LOHS varsity winter guard to Frankfort, Illinois from February 25th through 26th of 2023. The middle school cadet bands to Sandusky, Ohio on May 12th of 2023. The LOHS physics class to Sandusky, Ohio on May 15th of 2023. The LOHS Spanish class to San Juan and Fajardo, Puerto Rico, March 23rd through the 27th of 2024. And the Scripps Robotics team to Grand Rapids, Michigan on December 16th through the 17th of 2022. And also approving the Head Start Coordinator's report.
Anything else?
That's pretty big.
Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All those
Lots
in
of
favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The consent agenda is approved. We have a motion to adopt International Academy Letter of Understanding Resolution.
I move to adopt the resolution to amend the International Academy Letter of Understanding effective through June 30th, 2025, as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's roll
Oh,
call.
it's roll call. I'm sorry.
Yes.
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 Yes. The International Academy Letter of Understanding Resolution is adopted. May I have a motion to approve the certified new hire?
I move to approve a certified new hire as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Jake?
Welcome to Arden.
All right, thank you.
Wuss.
I never say the last name.
All right, may I have a motion to accept the 2022 Superintendent's Evaluation?
I move to accept and file the 2022 evaluation for Superintendent Ben Kirby as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The superintendent evaluation for 2022 is accepted, and thank you for all your good work. We have a motion to authorize Walden, Oakview, and Pine Tree Secure Entry Bid Award.
I move to authorize administration to execute contracts with multiple vendors for secure entry renovation work at Walden Middle School, Oakview Middle School, and Pine Tree Center in the amount of $1,559,133 and allocate contingency and allowances of $405,713 for a project total not to exceed $1,964,846 as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The Walden, Oakview, and Pine Tree Secure Entry Bid Award is authorized. So we'll move to public participation for non-agenda items, and we do have one name tonight.
Should I read them the riot act?
No.
Okay. You got 5 minutes, Faber.
Mr. Favor.
Take 20.
I'm gonna filibuster. Mark, is this thing live? Mr. Weedman, I'm gonna miss you a ton. I've studied you for years. I actually learned some leadership concepts from you. I mean, you are a business owner, a basketball referee, a school board member. All of these high stress, high responsibility jobs with people yelling at you quite a bit and giving you feedback, lots of feedback.
Feedback, that's a good way to say it.
So it taught me, though, you're either very resilient or a glutton for punishment, maybe a little bit of both. But it does take a certain kind of person to be able to handle all that. I have respected your calm and thoughtful demeanor. In a lot of ways, I see you as like leading from behind. I mean, I'm kind of that way. And it has a bad stigma, but encouraging and nurturing leaders and people to make decisions and, you know, trusting the people around you to do their job. And I think that's a great thing. And it's not an easy thing. A lot of people go into leadership, they're control freaks and people don't like them. But you've been so collaborative and not just with your colleagues up there, but with my group and the community and everyone and listening to everyone. And I've always respected that. 22 years, hundreds of meetings, evenings and nights away from your family or your other activities. You've spent on behalf of the students and the staff and the families, the community. And that's you've made a lot of sacrifices over those years. And I mean, I think maybe your next hobby, you should like collect stamps or maybe fly kites. Something more relaxing. But the imprint you've made, the difference you've made to help lay this foundation that we have here, we've got just an amazing district. I've been here, I think I lose track. It's like dog years. I think I started in 99. I know that, but I don't know how many years that is. Jake, do you have the math on that?
Probably, it's probably 23 or so.
Oh, yeah,
There you go.
it feels about right. But you've been around almost that entire time. And what a difference you've made. And there's a great group behind you and around you who's going to pick up that torch and carry it on. So we got a lot from you. So thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to recap and next steps, and Ben.
All right. There was nothing that you pushed off into January, like I know you probably wanted to.
I did
but,
that earlier today.
But at the end of December, all the board members need to have their board questionnaires into Julie. That would be the only thing that I picked up on. So.
Okay, thank you. And closing comments, John, please.
Just wanted to thank you, Jim, for your service to the district over the years. Very sincerely, it's been an honor. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, John.
I too would like to thank you and share my appreciation for the time we've been able to have together and go out knowing that you are a highly respected individual, very much so. And also, just wanted to let the board know that we are in the middle of our second annual employee engagement survey, so we're looking forward to digging through that over the break.
Just something to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
Jim, thank you for all your years of service. You have left a great impact on the district, and you are appreciated, and thank you very much. It'll be felt for years to come.
Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate you.
My turn?
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to say a couple things first, and, thank you to your family for sharing you, because it's been many, many, many hours, months, probably years that they've actually missed you because you were here. And I too really appreciate your calmness. We've talked privately about the impact that you've had on me as a leader, and I appreciate, you're my first board president, and the first time I met you online, or that online dating we did called interviewing, during COVID, the first impression certainly changed, as things evolved, and you've been a great advocate and supporter of not only me and cabinet and our staff, but the entire district, and you've really been a mentor for, others at this table as well, and I really appreciate that. The fact you've been an open communicator, listener, really business-minded, and ultimately a student advocate for all of our Dragons is really admirable. We do have something to share with you tonight. This is on behalf of the administrative building, cabinet, myself, and everybody that works here. I just would share this with you. So this encapsulates your career in this shadow box. So Jim Weedman, trustee, that's how it all began 22 years ago. And then you've been the treasurer, the president a couple of times, but we didn't have enough to, put that in there twice. So you can just share that with the grandkids that you were twice. And then obviously we have the academic letter with your shot there. And then certainly the Lamp of Learning medals that were distributed in the many years that you served the district. And as it says at the bottom, once a dragon, always a dragon.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I feel like I'm graduating. Thank you. All right, Susan, please.
Yeah, I would like to thank you as well, Jim. My short tenure here, you've been my only president, so those are some big shoes to fill, and you will be greatly missed. I really appreciate your guidance, your leadership, helping orient me these first few years, so thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
And then I just wanted to say, unfortunately, I don't think we'll see each other before the new year, so happy holidays to everyone, best wishes. Hope you enjoy some time off with your families, and I look forward to starting the new year with you guys.
Thank you, Susan. Scott?
I got some notes. So we had an opportunity to have a celebration of Jim's career with us and for the schools last week, and had a great time of being able to tell some funny stories and spend some time with Jim and his wife and his whole family. It was awesome. So I appreciate you being able to come to that. And board, thanks for, Birgit, thanks for putting that on. So I did some math. I like to, when you say someone's done something for 22 years, that was like 2 wives ago, so I'm just like, wow, how can we put a measure on what this 22 years was? So if we do 22 board meetings per year at 2 hours each, that's 968 hours. 22 graduations, that since Bell's been running graduations, they're 2 hours each, but they used to be 3 hours. So those are about 44. Lamp of Learning Awards that we average about 4 per year. At 88 hours. Special meetings, superintendent searches, parades, staff and school recognitions, construction tours were about 440 hours. And so it basically brings us up to about 1,600 hours that you've given to the community and to the students of Lake Orion, which basically breaks down to 67 full days. And I just think that's amazing. And I think that your leadership and just like Jeff was saying, the way that you've allowed us to lead and allowed us to learn and showed us your experiences without an iron fist, but more, hey, don't you think this might be better, Scott? I can remember when I was president and I called on Jim a couple times just to ask him advice because there was some there was some tough stuff going on at that time, and I just really appreciate your leadership and your friendship and just the man you are. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that, Scott, thank you. Danielle?
Wow, I mean, what else do you say?
You can't beat that.
You really can't, that's my problem. But, as Susan mentioned, since I've been here, you have been the president, and I really, appreciate you always taking the time to take my phone calls and, hear me out and talk things out with me. And, like everyone said, just, you have a certain style of leadership that's been awesome for not only my 2 years here, but for the past 22 years. And I know we'll see you out and about now, out in the district, and, can't wait for that. I can see Jim Weidman and enjoying himself out in the district. So, excellent. Well, thank you so much for everything, and it's been a pleasure serving with you.
Appreciate it, Danielle. Jake?
Yeah, so I want to focus on the 22 years and the impact you've had on so many families in the district. And mine is very representative of that. My older daughter just turned 23. So you have been on the school board for that entire time. And in that era, when you first came on, it was a different time. It was a growth era. We were opening buildings, Oakview, Paint Creek, these things were coming online. But the thing that struck me the most about your time was that you through the Great Recession and the tough challenges, and that always keeping it on a student focus. And there's a lot of families in this town that were impacted by the fact that you always kept the focus on the students and what was best, and also for the staff to make sure that the people that are there working with our kids every day. So, and the good news is you stayed long enough that we've come out the other side. We got a sinking fund, we got a bond, and I know that the finances of the district have always been close to your heart, and you've left us in such a strong position. So what a great time to leave, and what you've left behind. And like you say, your model of leadership is something we'll always be able to look to and try to emulate. So thank you for your service.
I appreciate that, Jake, thank you. Bergen?
Well, I wrote out a speech for you, and Scott and I did not collaborate, so. G.B. Stern said, "Silent gratitude isn't much use to anyone," and I happen to agree. Therefore, because of the significance of this meeting for Lake Orion Community Schools Board of Education President Jim Weidman, I too would like to say a few words. 22 years of board service. For some, that's a lifetime. For the Lake Orion Community Schools Board of Education, it's the end of an era. For you, Jim Weidman, it's nearly a third of your life dedicated to serving your community as a trustee. A detailed and lengthy 22-year review would not benefit us right now, but an overview of your time on the board will. Your time here includes 22 years of graduating high school seniors, or approximately 27,630 graduates, including your 4 daughters, each to whom you got to present their diploma. It includes 5 superintendents that you got to know and work with, and 23 different board members that you have served with in a variety of capacities and through a multitude of meetings. Speaking of meetings, you had roughly 22 regular board meetings a year, but also special meetings and strategic planning sessions and a few extra workshops. My best estimate is 500 plus board meetings. While the time of each board meeting varies, it's safe to say there's an average of at least 2 hours on a board meeting, which means you've easily logged in over 1,000 hours, and that doesn't even include any closed sessions. But wait, there's more. Looking at the committees you've served on and also the many years you served as the Oakland Schools budget representative, we can easily tack on another 400 meetings. And if we consider that committee meetings last an average of 1.5 hours each, that's 600 plus hours of committee meetings. 900 meetings with over 1,600 hours invested in the meeting itself, which does not include preparing for the meetings and researching. The minimum prep time here is doubling that amount of time, so at least 3,200 hours dedicated just to meetings. This amount does not include high school graduations, learning options graduations, senior honors and awards evenings, phases graduations, sporting events, plays, concerts, marching band performance, robotics events, teacher of the year events, wall of excellence events, opening day ceremonies, and lamp of learning ceremonies. And Scott even mentioned a few I didn't. 3,200 hours of meetings is merely a drop in the bucket when looking at the overall commitment you have made to our awesome school district. They say that what you do has a far greater impact than what you say. Your 22 years of dedicated board service has made an impact that can never be fully put into words. Lake Orion is a better school district because you've served on this board. To quote Albert Pine, "What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others in the world remains and is immortal." Jim Weedman, you will forever be a part of the school district, and your service over these past 22 years is appreciated far more than we can possibly express. Remember, once a dragon, always a dragon. Thank you, and well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I get to have the last word.
Yeah? We're going to turn our mics off.
Well, I started this journey when the new high school was new. We remember those days where we talked about the new high school. And I'd like to just take time to thank the community for their trust in me to serve on this board for the last 22 years. It's been a privilege to contribute in a small way to the success of our schools. Recognizing people is a challenge because inevitably you can never be sure to include everyone you should when there have been so many great people over many years who have made a difference for kids and their families. That being said, I'd like to name a couple of people who helped me grow in my role as school board member. Keith Miller was a leader of the board many years ago during a very difficult period for our schools. Keith led with a steady hand to lead the schools into a new era of renewal that set the stage for our success over many years to come. I appreciated Keith as a mentor to me as a new school board member. Marion Giannopoulos came to Lake Orion as an interim superintendent and ended up leading our district for 9 years. I learned much from her leadership style through those years. Lake Orion Community Schools has been blessed with outstanding staff in every role in school operations. I would like to thank the many board members I served with over the years that I had an opportunity to learn from. And finally, I'd like to thank the people at this table, all of you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you as our team of 8 and the administrators who always make this group of board members look great. More importantly, and most importantly, I'd like to thank a thank you to my family for supporting me through all of this time spent away from home, dinner, meetings, things like that. All the events, the numerous commitments of board service. I appreciate all their support over these many years. I had a coach who had this on the wall when I was in school, and I'd like to begin by welcoming Heather as part of the new team of 8, and I'd like to share this with you. The indispensable man. Sometimes when you're feeling important, sometimes when your ego's in bloom, sometime when you take it for granted you're the best qualified in the room, sometime when you feel that your going will leave an unfillable hole, just follow these simple instructions and see how they humble your soul. Take a bucket and fill it with water. Put your hand in it up to the wrist. Pull it out, and the hole that's remaining is a measure of how much you'll be missed. You can splash all you wish when you enter. You may stir up the water galore, but stop, and you'll find that in no time, it looks quite the same as before. The moral of this quaint example is to do just the best that you can. Be proud of yourself, but remember, there's no indispensable woman or man. The challenge for you is to keep stirring that water up, and I'm counting on this new team of 8 to do a great job and make some magic happen in Lake Orion. So thank you all, and great times are ahead. And with that, for the final time, We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.
Now it feels real.